Today, another chapter. I'll be discussing in Python about chapter 4. Yeah, so it's working with lists. In chapter 3, you learned how to wait. Let me just adjust screen here. Okay, right. In chapter 3, you learn how to make a simple list and you learn to work with the individual elements in the list. In this chapter, you learn how to loop through an entire list in just a few lines of code. Regardless of how long the list is, looping allows you to take the same action or set of actions. Every item in the list as a result, you'll be able to work efficiently with lists of any length, including those thousands or even millions of items. So looping through an entire list, you often want to run through all the entries in the list, performing the same task with each item. For example, in a game, you might want to move every element on the screen by the same amount. List of numbers, you might want to perform the same statistical operation on every element. Yeah, so that's what you might want to do. As you can see here in chapter 4, right? So in chapter 4, we got a list here, yeah. You know, we've got a list. So an example would be magicians, right? So you got a list, right? It says Alice, David, Carolina. For magicians, we begin by defining a list. That's as we did in chapter 3. Then we define a for loop. This line tells Python to pull a name from the list magicians and associate it with the variable magician. Next, we tell Python to print the name that has been assigned to magician. Python then repeats these last two lines. Once for each name in the list might help to read this code. Every magician in the list of magicians print the magician's name. The output is a printout of each name in the list. So magicians. So let's go to magicians, right? View, command, template. Let's run this code. Right, as you can see here, if when we run this code in the terminal, right? So magicians, right? So this is an array. This is an array, right? An array with different elements in it or properties. Here's a for loop, right? For magician and magician, so you're gonna print this. Print is pretty much a way. It's pretty much. So obviously this list is being listed, right? So this is what we're working with. This is the variable that we're working with. Right, so the variable is gonna be the thing that the computer is gonna pick up. And so for that variable, we're gonna have a for loop, right? For that variable. So you got two separate paragraphs that's gonna be printed out on the terminal. Saying magician, right? So it's referring back to the variable, right? Then the title. This method makes sure that the first letter in each and every element, such as Alice, David, and Carolina, in capital letters, like a name, like a proper noun, right? And then you got your string, which is that was a great trick. So everything has been strung together, and to avoid this part of using its value, we put in curly brackets just to make sure that the computer knows that it's not just a random number. It's not just a random These aren't just random words in a sentence, right? You're just inserting their actual values, like an actual variable, an actual command to make sure that each and every element starts with a capital letter. That was a great trick. Print, I can't wait to see your next trick. So it's going to print out the string and then it's going to say magician. Same thing here, referring to the variable, the type of value that you want, capital letters, and then yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Yeah. So this is how produce a function, right? In the it's gonna help produce a function. So then gonna print that this as well. Thank you, everyone. That was a great magic show. As you can see here, this is part of the indentation. Has been indented. It's in the indentation, right? So that means this is pretty much within the for loop. So that means all the values are gonna be within the for loop, right? Put this in the indentation. Then as you can see here, there's a problem, right? It's gonna run a problem. So you can see there's a problem here. See indentation error. I see indentation error. Or you take it out, right? There you go. So obviously this is out of the for loop. So this print isn't gonna be printed for every single element in the array. It's gonna be printed straight after the array. But thank you everyone. That was a great magic show. So yeah, that's how you do that. Print magician for magicians. Pretty much just doing more work with a for loop. You can do just about anything each item in a for loop. Let's pull down the previous example. Print a message to each magician, telling them that they performed a great trick. Magicians Alice, David, Carolina. For magician in magicians print F. The only difference in this code is where we compose a message to each magician, starting with that magician's name. First time through the loop, the value of a magician is Alice, so Python starts the first message with the name Alice. Second time through, the message will begin David, and the third time through, the message will begin Carolina. The output shows a personalized message for each magician in the list. Alice, that was okay. It's pretty much what I did. Avoid indentation errors. Python uses indentation to determine how a line or group of lines related to the rest of the program. Brief examples: the lines that print messages to individual magicians were puffed in the for loop. They were indented. So obviously, as I spoke about before, these were indented. That means when something's indented, that means it's within a program. It's within a program. So for example, within the variable, right, these are going to be printed for each and every element in this variable. So you got a for loop, right? This is not indented because this is not supposed to be a part of the program. It's supposed to operate in a separate manner from the program so that it can be printed at the end and the end only, not in each and every element and for loop for every element, but on a separate function of its own. Python's use of indentation makes code very easy to read. Basically, it uses a white space to force you to write neatly formatted code with a clear visible structure. In the longer Python programs, you'll notice blocks of code indented at a few different levels. These indentation levels help you get a general sense of the overall programs organization. As you begin to write code that relies on proper indentation, you'll need to watch for a few common indentation errors. For example, people sometimes indent lines of code that don't need to be indented or forget to indent lines that need to be indented. Seeing examples of these errors now will help you avoid them in the future and correct them when they do appear. So obviously if you forget to indent, there will be an error. So you can use range to make a list of numbers. Yeah. So use range to make a list of numbers. Be self-explanatory, right? So for right, okay, okay. So let me I'm gonna comment this out. Okay, so comment this out. So we're gonna have another one. Right. So as you can see here in the terminal, prints out the range of numbers in the terminal. The terminal is being printed out. So it's being printed out, right? Okay, and then yeah, straight that into this. So that's been come. So okay, this way to make a list of numbers. So you don't want it to be a row code. See this list now. Simple statistical list of numbers. Right, another one. Yep. As you can see here in terminal, you saw what you need to see. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, and as always, take